Hi, Carl here from ProAV TV. I'm talking again with Richard from Global, and this time we're talking about the Tally Tec system.
Yep.
Okay, so talk us through it.
Yeah, so basically Tally Tec, as the name suggests, do a wireless or a wired tally system. So this, as you can see here, is the receiver. So it's what we call a Pro receiver. You can get a wired version, which is basically has an RJ45 connector on it, so it can plumb into any existing Ethernet network. So schools, colleges, broadcast production facilities, everyone's got Cat5, Cat6 cabling everywhere. You can plumb this in. Or we do a wireless version, which you can see here, gives you both options, wired and wireless. The wireless one has a range of 2 kilometers. So if we're actually doing outside broadcasts, sporting, news events, whatever, usual kind of line of sight things, we transmit on a frequency, shouldn't interfere with anything else, and allows us to deliver that distance. The unique thing that Tally have is, as well as being able to send the program live data, so this fits into several markets. So where a camera might not have a tally, when I hit record, there's no tally light. Do I know if I'm live or not? Who knows? The guy back here with the switcher knows in the gallery or wherever, they'll know who's live. But this is enabling you to tell cameras that don't have a tally who's live. But also it's very visually identifiable. So whereas the camera tally might show the cameraman, they've got a little red light on their camera, this is the same. But this is also giving a very obvious red light to whoever's being filmed or whoever's maybe being interviewed. They know they might not have talkback, no one might have talkback, or certainly someone being interviewed won't, but the presenter may. So they can see. One of the problems you often have though is knowing, are you going to be live next? So as a cameraman, you would be there holding a shot, thinking and waiting and waiting and waiting. God, this is tiring. And just as you start to move to ergonomically position yourself, suddenly you go red, you're live, and you get a shaky shot cut in the broadcasting. What Tally will actually show you is if this camera wasn't live, there's no light on here.
Yep.
If I actually become the preview state, I'm now green. So as a cameraman, I now have a green tally. I know I've got to hold this shot. They may cut to me. But also, you as the presenter, if you don't have an earpiece, you now know this may go next. But how many times have you watched a live broadcast and the presenter knows where they're looking and what's going on, but the people they're interviewing are looking all over the place. So this just gives very easy guidance for people to see what's coming next. And it's a very unique system in this ability to take the preview data from the switcher. So some switchers can't output preview, but most do. So we can take that data and show it. If they don't have an output, we might be able to take it over, say, USB from the mixer, as we do with, say, TriCaster. But people like Roland here, for example, they do give actually a preview out, so we just wire into that. So yeah, it's a really simple system to use for that. So
what mounting points has this got on it?
Basically, it has a 1/4-inch thread mount on the bottom, so you can hot shoe it, magic arm it, any kind of industry standard kind of mount. Tally are working on something like this, which is called a monitor bracket, which it'll actually mount into and then give you an adaptable bracket to then place a monitor onto. It could be an Atomos recorder or a small HD or whatever it might be, Marshall, TV Logic.
So if you've only got one connector on the top of your camera, this doesn't take it all up.
They're building kind of like a cage for it that it'll just sit on, and then you have a monitor bracket is what they're looking at. The base system is either a desktop or a rack mount, and that's what basically communicates to this. So that's what you wire into your switcher, and that takes the data. And we do a 4-channel, we do an 8-channel, or we do a 16-channel. It's all the same hardware, so we have a software upgrade path. So if you start with 4 and your numbers grow. And we're also launching as a kind of a base bundle. So rather than buying the sum of all the components individually, we do a starter pack. So we do a wireless one, which is £999. It's a desktop base unit, and it comes with 3 wireless receivers. So 3 of these, and that's £1,000 excluding VAT. So it's a really good starter kit. Or we do the wired one, if it was say for a wired facility or budgets are restricted and wireless ranges isn't an issue. Then that's cheaper at $649 excluding VAT. And again, it's 3 receivers and the base transmitter. What we're announcing here with our wireless systems, though, at BVE, is the addition of Timecode. So as well as this being able to send tally data, the base unit can actually generate timecode and send that out to basically all of the receivers up to a 2 kilometer range. The timecode is checked and reclocked every 25 frames, so it's very, very accurate. If for whatever reason signal was lost to the receivers will continue to run with the last time code they were clocked from, and we wouldn't expect to see any drift within, say, an hour and a half, 2 hours. You should be good. So well within any kind of sensible time to come back into range or re-establish a signal if there's, some interference coming from somewhere, or you've walked
should be able to fix it within 2 hours.
Yeah. you would hope. So the benefit that the time code gives you is, say it's a higher end studio production, you've got cameras with time code input. They're recording an ISO feed in the camera, essentially, for the live broadcast or production. Now, traditionally, the gallery or wherever the control's being sent from, you'll have a BNC cable running back into that camera to provide the time code. That's a lot of cabling. On a job, that's time, that's effort, it's cost. With this, they can just take a simple short cable out of the tally into your time code input at the camera and take the reference from there.
Much neater, particularly if the cameras are moving about.
Yeah, exactly. And more interestingly, this works for lower cost productions. More and more people are on a lower budget. You've got local TV now, small news groups doing news gathering or whatever it might be for online TV channels. These guys are using DSLRs, they're using mirrorless cameras, they're putting them on shoulder rigs and things like that. They're starting to use external recorders to then get the quality and feature set. So if you have an external recorder that has a timecode input, like say an Atomos Shogun or something like that, you can then take the timecode out of here into the Shogun, again, clock a multicam recording, but you can be using C100s, you could be using 5D Mark IIIs, Alpha 7s, GH4s, whatever you want, and actually now timecode sync all of those cameras together. And if it is something that is either a studio presentation, it might not be a live broadcast, but people want to be looking at the right cameras at the right time, you've got a built-in tally system in the same thing.
Seems fantastic. Okay, thank you very much.
No worries.